Hello my friends, and welcome to my quick and easy beginners tips and tricks video for Othercide. I'm Icon and I'm going to guide you through a handful of little strategies and ideas and knowledge scraps which will help you to have more success in this game. And if you like this kind of content, drop a subscription on my channel and you won't miss any future content. So first off, what I want to begin with, the permadeath aspect of the game makes it quite necessary that you focus around a few daughters to begin with. Like, try to have one squad of 3 which is heavily upgraded, heavily leveled up, and quite healthy at all the points of the game, because this will be your boss breaker squad. You will need one squad which is able to tackle the larger difficulties of the game, whereas you'll use the rest of your daughters more or less as synapse clearers and material to heal up your other daughters that you want to keep. Also keep an eye out for the traits of your daughters. Like, these start to stack up and are the real bonus and the real strength of your units in the long run, and they really make a lot of difference, especially when you look at things like Plague Seeker being a 10% bonus and then 50 points of pure bonus through the aggressive trait. There's a lot of things coming up. Next thing I want to talk about is whatever kind of formation you want to use, be that a balanced approach, 2 Soul Slingers, 3 Soul Slingers, 3 Blade Masters, whatever. Be aware of your memories to equip, and equip again the best memories to your selected squad of chosen ones, whatever you want to, however you want to look at it. That's really the most important things to keep an eye out when it comes down to your squad assembly. The rest is just something you should grow on during the game, because how to manage your memories and what's good where is not something I want to cover up in the beginners section of this game. So we're going to get into a combat situation to show off the other set of beginner tips and tricks, because that's just the easiest way to do that. So we're going on one hunt here and bringing up the daughters that I want to have. Let's bring up 2 Soul Slingers and a shield bearer. It's right now the combo I play quite often, and we're going to start that. Keep an eye out on your enemies which are up front. Sometimes you see that some enemies are there which require certain strategies, but more of that in a second. So when you load up a fight,
slip into innocent flesh.
You always start up with a position where not all the enemies are visible at the beginning of the fight, and you are most of the time quite far away from your enemies. So use that to your advantage. You can burst down certain enemies in the beginning of the fight and get a certain advantage out of that. But most importantly, when you look at the beginning of each turn, check out how far your enemies can move. The white border is usually their maximum movement, and when they hit the end of that white border, they usually are able to attack from that spot on. So always try to end your turns not in the maximum movement range of some melee units, because that would be some free hits for your enemies. Another thing which is quite important to know is the dynamic timeline system of this game. So I'm trying to cover it up quite simple in case it's confusing you a little bit. This game has no real turn-based system, even though it says here end your turn. Much more, it has this initiative timeline. So this means when Harmony ends her turn, Innocent will be the next to act after 9 units of time. After 16 units of time from here on, Desire will act. After 31 units of time from here on, the first units here will act. You can click them to see where it's at. And that's how all of this works. So you have a clear overview about where things, in what order things are happening. Some units have abilities like here the shield bearer, which delay the target's initiative by a certain amount of units. So if I would use the slam on this guy here, it would be no longer 31 but 56, because it would be adding 25 initiative units. So this way you can see how things are going. But more importantly, you have also a certain amount of action points during each turn available. So the white border here shows you when you hit the 50 points of the 50 spent action points. There we go. So your unit still can move and still use the other 50 action points, but then we'll go in the so-called burst mode. In the burst mode, you're allowed to use all your actions, and there's no real penalty for that, except for the following. When I end my turn now, Harmony will act again in 50 units of time. When I don't do that, she will take her next action after the passing of 100 units of time. Long story short, always end your turns on this point if you can, unless you're able to kill off an enemy entirely in that turn, like in that scenario. I could also move Harmony close to this guy and take him out with that. I would take 20 units of movement to get there, and I would have 30 action points to nail that guy down. But, like I said, if you're careful with the distances, that scavenger unit would move to the place of the cursed therapist and would start attacking Harmony. So instead, I'm just ending my turn and be happy with it. So next up comes the other thing I wanted to talk about. So I'm using Innocent here to finish off that guy, and I'm willingly taking the burst here because I just want to use her action completely to get rid of this guy here. So one pretty interesting thing here is there are skills like the intercepting round and the shadow round, which are so-called reaction skills. Reaction skills last until the unit takes action again, unless this skill says something else. These skills are best served after a burst, because if I activate it now, it'll last until Innocent acts again, and that's 100 units of time. If I activate something like the intercepting round, which always costs a maximum amount of HP for your unit, I'll only get half the deal. So if you want to use these skills, always try to use them at the end of a burst action, so you'll get the maximum rewards out of that. So here in this example, I'm going to use the shadow round, which will make Innocent shoot with her friends here, but I misplayed that one. I didn't activate it. Oops. But that's not so important. Let's do this. So you see here, that's at least how it would work, and the things I said about the burst in general are pretty precise. Either burst down your enemy when you're going into burst, or use it as an opener for delayed action skills, or ideally both. So in this scenario here, we see now Harmony, Desire, and then the Scavengers will act. I want to take out the Scavengers under under any circumstances, so I'm going to send Harmony here, and I'm accepting that this action will send her into burst, because I'll get rid of these of one of those guys by doing so.
Memories of
If
another life.
you need to reposition
Guard
your
them well.
units, do it in this time, because all the action points you have here will just go bad if you don't use them. You don't get any reward for saved action points once you crossed the 50 action points border and went into burst. So if I wouldn't have messed it up here, Innocent would have shot at this guy too and finished him off. So this time, these circumstances, Desire has to shoot one more time. But I think that's a perfect example for what I wanted to say. So now Desire is again in burst mode. Let's see.
Will the poor one's suffering never end?
Going to move Desire towards here and activate the intercepting round and the shadow bullet as well to show it off at least one time to see what I'm talking about. So now it'll last until Desire takes her next action, And since Innocent is not on an ideal spot, the Plague Guard could attack her here at this spot. I'm going to move it over here, and we're going to wait for the next action, because there will be a spawn here. Never end your turn next to a spawn field, because that is pretty much a free attack for your enemies. So this guy goes for his reinforced armor action. Don't attack them while they're doing that. So Desire is standing right next to one spawn point. That's exactly the thing I was saying, don't do that. So now we're going to take down these guys, and Desire is now supporting this fight to her best extents. Alright, having a few points left, I'm going to use the slam skill on this guy to force him to attack her here, and I'm going to use the slam one more time on this guy to finish him off. So there we go. Next turn goes on Innocent. She's not using her skills now anymore, so this was not exactly a desirable outcome. So here we go. Oh, you see here I took a wrong attack. I should have done it this way. So let's take this guy from the flank, but he's still having the increased armor, so only the shadow bullets from Desire are really mattering. But I'm forcing this out a little bit, because why not? I paid HP for that, so I want to have my returns. So let's do the shadow round on Innocent and get to the next action. And these are pretty much the basics about the game. Always respect how far your enemies can move. Don't stand next to these squares unless you can help it. And now we're going to finish off this fight with that. So with this amount of armor on him, even the backstabs don't matter too much. That's a pity, but well, we're still shredding him down a little bit. This is a non-ideal solution. Ideally, you would treat this guy differently, and that comes and that opens up the last of my tips and tricks. Avoid situations like these by knowing your enemies better. Like, I could have done this situation by just waiting out his armor buff, which only lasts a certain amount of units, and I could have countered the attack of the Cursed Therapist, because I wouldn't have sent everybody on a burst action. But I wanted to showcase a mistake as well, because nothing shows better how to do it right when you see some mistake along the way. Alrighty friends, so these are just basic beginners tips and tricks. There's a lot more depth to this game, but I think this should help you a little bit if you're struggling hard. And yeah, feel free to leave me a comment down below. Feel free to share more knowledge if you know more than this video has taught you. And yeah, have a good time until then. Goodbye.